Good afternoon. Welcome to the Senate Committee on Education. Today is Monday, February 3rd, 2025. This is our 3:00 p.m. agenda, and we are in hearing room 229. This meeting, including the audio and video of remote participants, is being streamed live on YouTube. You will find links to viewing options for all Senate meetings on the live and on-demand video page of the legislature's website. This Zoom meeting and YouTube live stream event will include the 3:00 p.m. agenda for this Committee on Education. In the unlikely event that we must abruptly end this hearing due to major difficulties, the committee will reconvene to discuss any outstanding business on Wednesday, February 5th, 2025 at 3 p.m. in room 229, and a public notice will be posted on the legislature's website. I'd like to take this time to remind our testifiers that due to time restrictions on our hearings, we will be limiting testimony to 1 minute per testifier per bill. For people participating remotely, please remain muted and video disabled until shortly before it is your turn to testify. When I call your name, unmute yourself and your time will begin. After your minute is completed, staff will mute you so that we can move this hearing along in an orderly and efficient manner. Thank you. Welcome, Senator Donna Mercado Kim. Thank you. The first item on our agenda is Senate Bill 529 relating to education, appropriates funds to the Department of Education for its Ho'akea program. This program is to educate students by integrating math, science, social studies, civics, leadership, language, and literacy with cultural practices and traditions in Aina, land, and community settings. First to testify is Superintendent Kitayashi, please.
Aloha, Chair Kidani, Vice Chair Mercado Kim. Aloha, Keith Hayashi, Superintendent, testifying on behalf of the Department of Education. The department stands on its written testimony in support of this measure. The impact of Ho'akea has truly been profound for our students and our families and our communities. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. Aloha.
Thank you. Next to testify, Nainoa Thompson, CEO, Polynesian Voyaging Society.
Aloha, mai kākou.
Aloha, Nainoa. I enjoyed seeing you in July at the Convention Center, where you spoke so passionately and eloquently on educating our keikis through our dedicated teachers and our communities. We are also so fortunate to the partnership that we have with you and the Polynesian Voyaging Society, as well as the DOE. Mahalo for being here.
Well, aloha, and thank you, Chair and Vice Chair, for having me. Having said that, you just need to know that for me, education is everything. It will determine our future by what we teach our children. So I'm here to support the DOE in any way I can. And I know we only have 1 minute, so I put in written testimonies. There's much more detail about my support. I just want to say, 2013, we started on Mauna Kea, went from Alaska to San Diego, got a phone call in late August from Lahaina, and they said in the black of the storm, you bring the canoe home, so we did. But my sense in communities, there's a lot of strain, there's stress, economic, and children are concerned about a future that's not clear. So we stayed home and did this 5-month voyage, which is going to end up being 7 months total, going around the state, 26 ports, probably will hit like 300 to 350 communities. And the reason why I'm in support of Bill 529 is because I've seen the impact of when there's a bridge that's created between the power of communities and families. And Ho'akea is that bridge to teachers, we're the bridge to our schools. So I just want to just say that maybe imagine my poor mathematics, but by August, when 13,000 school teachers go back to 295 schools and wait for 270,000 school kids to come, we may be at the point where we'll be able to train 2,600 teachers and to reach 55,000 students. That's why I'm in support of this particular bill. Thank you.
Thank you. I know members' questions.
Is that all that testified?
Yes. That's all the testifiers, correct?
Superintendent. I think this is a wonderful program, and I believe that if it's integrated into the schoolwork, that it can be projects that will encompass math, literature, common sense, and tradition. So I think it's an overall program, which is what we search for to have in our curriculum. So questions I'm going to ask is like, I'm not sure why it hasn't been embedded into the curriculum and why we have to actually put a separate, like it's a separate program. So my question is, who is this offered to? Is it like a special course, or is it integrated into the curriculum now?
Thank you very much for the question, Senator. Actually, it's being integrated into the curriculum. Actually, thanks to Nainoa Thompson and Polynesian Voyaging Society and our community partners that participate in the Hawai'i across our communities. It's an opportunity to bring communities together, to bring teachers together, students, with the Ohana Wa'a, with our canoes, and really help students to connect on the importance of the Aina, Wa'a, and looking at building on Nainoa Thompson's 10 million planetary navigators. You know, it's about, as you shared, Senator, it is about building that sense of value and community and appreciation for Earth and all that we have. So to your question about being integrated, definitely, no matter what curriculum I believe that's being taught in our schools, there is a direct connection that teachers can make to community support and to the Hawai'i program. And it is about bringing our teachers together to help build that sense of community.
So when you refer to the Hawai'i program, what program is it actually that's embedded now, or what is it now? It's not embedded yet. Is this just the training portion of this, or?
So I think for me as a teacher, if I were a teacher that's participating in Hawai'i, I'm able to bring my class down to the
No,
beach.
I understand, but
Okay.
currently, right now, what is in the schools? Because I'm reading the bill, and it says that legislature finds that this movement ignites 10 million navigators who will pursue critical inspiration voyages. But what is it actually? Because is this a brand-new thing that's being integrated right now?
It connects and integrates to our current curriculum. It is up to the teachers and to be able to connect to their current.
Okay,
not
so
only
right
Hawaiian
now, the
studies curriculum.
students don't have this in their curriculum.
They currently don't
Okay.
have it in there, so it's very important for us to build it.
Right, and you've been building it by training the teachers, is that?
Teachers, bringing community organizations together and so forth.
Okay, so in the meantime, the curriculum is being rewritten as such to embed this?
Yes,
into
for
whatever-
teachers to build connection to what they experience through the Hawai'i
So-
experience.
So is it required? How do you ensure that it's being integrated throughout? Like, is it from K through 12, or how are you folks looking at this?
I think, you know, as an educator, and experiencing Hawai'i, experiencing the connections that students have, as I go there and I listen to the teachers and to the students, I really believe that it's a strong connection
No, I
for
understand that.
students. And so, teachers will, I really believe, connect with this.
Okay.
So it's not a mandate that teachers will do A, B, C, and D in this sequential order, but it's more of a connections that we make as educators and bringing that sense of value naho penoa'o, the
Understand.
values to our
I
students.
understand,
And
but,
to integrating
but
in
if you
that.
have a teacher that is not buying into it, or if you have a teacher that don't actually do it, you know what I'm saying? How do we ensure that all of the students are getting this? And I don't saying that they all have to do it the same way,
Right.
but that there's some way of measuring how much of this have been actually integrated by classes.
I really believe that as teachers experience the Ho'akea program and make those connections, they're able to make connections throughout curriculum. I don't believe that it's only in a certain content area that they'll draw a connection to
No,
what
I
they experience in
understand.
Ho'akea.
But again,
Yeah.
there's no guarantee that all the teachers are going to embrace it, right? There's no guarantee that, one class may not get the same benefits as others whose teacher might be a little bit more passionate about it. I'm not sure. I'm just trying to find out.
Yes.
It's one thing to have a program, but it's another thing to measure at some point and to ensure that there is some systematic way in which it is getting to the student and that we can measure it at the end of the year to find out whether or not we achieve the purpose and not just, if the teachers feel, motivated about it, that you trust they're going to integrate it, but they may not.
I do believe that we have an evaluation that teachers complete after the whole, let me just double check on that. There is an evaluation that as teachers go through the whole care program, that they do complete and fill out to say, what value they have in it, their connections and so forth.
Yeah, but it's not at that point, the point at the end of the school year. Once this, because this is new, or this has not been integrated, so once it's integrated, after the end of the year, is there some kind of evaluation to see how much of that has been integrated?
I think when we look at some of the data that we're collecting through like a panorama survey and such, there are a number of things that teachers do in the classroom to help build the sense of efficacy, sense of connectedness. So
you're saying, yes, there
I-
is gonna be a mechanism by which we can look at and see,
a direct connection specifically to Ho'okea at the end of the year. I don't believe we have that detail.
but is that your intent, to have something? so that
We
can-
definitely can look at
I hope you will.
implementing something
Yeah,
and
because I
seeing
hate
what
to
we
put
can
in a
do.
thing where it's taught differently across and not all the students get to benefit.
Hey,
by it.
Thank you. I think it's really important too that as teachers go through it, I know for me, I did also, that when I went through the program, I made personal connections for myself that I didn't expect to make. And I think that it's that connection with the community partners there, with Hokulea. It is
Life-changing.
life-changing. It
Yeah,
is, it definitely is.
I understand,
Yeah.
but it doesn't affect everybody the same way. So
And-
I'm
and-
just
right.
wanting to make sure that we are investing in this and that we're ensuring that it is going to be embedded.
Yes.
And that we have a way of looking at to see how successful we were. Because if only 75% or 80% of the teachers are actually utilizing it, a teacher might just use a small portion of it and not enough. I mean, I'm just, how do you know that unless there's some way of measuring it?
You bring up a good point. I think also within our schools, we do have as grade level teams and such, or pathways and CTEs, groups of teachers get together and they continuously discuss about learning, student learning and what they're going to be doing next. I know that when teachers participate in the Ho'akea experience, definitely that will be some of the discussions
Okay,
going on.
again, I don't doubt that, but at the end of the day, I want to see the data. I want to see that, that this is being integrated so that, and every teacher will integrate it in their own way. But again, that it is being integrated in a meaningful way that the students are benefiting from it, and I really think they can. So the monies how have you been paying for the training and stuff? You had monies in the budget before this?
Prior to this, we were leveraging some of our ESSER funds, our ESSER federal funds.
Okay.
As ESSER has,
How much did you leverage?
I believe about the same what we were asking.
4 million?
Yes, 3.5 million over the last
Okay, and that money went to what? To train the teachers?
Training and experience.
Training and experience for the teachers? Okay,
Teachers and students.
okay. So the bulk of the teachers have been trained?
No.
Can you come forward? So, okay, maybe I should preference that by saying, when do you tend to institute this full on?
Camille Masatomi, Department of Education. We started Ho'akea 2 years ago at the beginning of the voyage, and we have started in two districts, Windward and Leeward, and then we cumulatively built out. So we've trained to date about 1,300 of our teachers. Senator, you were asking about like the scope. The funds that we're requesting will provide both teacher PD as well as student activities. So our most recent Ho'akea in Maui had 2,000, I think, students that participated over multiple days, both on Lahaina as well as in partnership with PVS at Central Maui. So each Ho'akea that we're hosting will have anywhere from, several hundred to very large groups. We have one scheduled for spring in Hilo, and we're hoping to hit each of our complex areas. But our funds right now can only do a certain amount of students at a certain given time. Part of it is capacity of our canoes and our AINA-based organizations. So one day might be focused on secondary schools. We'll bring out just our middle school students and center our activities around age appropriate for them. And yes, we do evaluations, both students as well as teachers, as well as our community partners that are coming in with us to see when is it the right setup and pairing, as well as what activities do they see that will be ongoing? Because some of these activities, there are follow-ups both in the classroom as well as like summer, like what comes next,
I see, that's my vision, that
Yeah.
it's embedded in the curriculum. So that's why I guess I'm having a hard time when you just refer to this as a Ho'akea event or Ho'akea swing. It should be part of the curriculum, and if part of the curriculum means they have to go see the canoes or they have to go see the ho'oleo, whatever it
Yes.
is, that is already embedded and it's not a separate program.
Correct.
Because when you have a separate program, you have the tendency to lose the funding, to lose
Right.
this, but if it's embedded in the program, like every other stuff you embed into your program that has certain things related to it, that
Right.
whether it be, trips or student activities, whatever, that it's embedded into the program. And yes, you might have to dedicate some monies, but I'm having a difficulty when
So I
this is
think what
4
we'll-
million a year, how many more teachers you intend to train and so forth.
Yeah, I think what you have to think about for the event, there's things like Superintendent shared that we can do in the classroom, but to actually put on the event allows us the opportunity to partner with those 50 organizations. It does require funding for us to move the canoes to different locations, but we'll be able to leverage the resources of those community-based orgs.
Right.
To put on the event is expensive,
Right.
I do want to say that, but
But if it's part of your curriculum,
once-
you're gonna
yeah,
know it in advance.
we'll be able to-
When are these events and how it's related, and so then the teachers have advance notice so that they can work the curriculum, so it
Correct.
leads up to the event and so forth. So
Yes,
I think
and-
it's so important that we have this done in a holistic manner.
Exactly.
And
I
not
think-
piecemeal.
Yeah, like you said, so for instance, this year, Hawai'i is getting ready for their event. So this school year, they're spending what we call pre-Ho'akea. Like you said, the canoe is being taken to each of the schools. And then they'll do activities to get ready for a fall actual Ho'akea event at the beach, similar to what Maui had. So
So
we've
what's
kind
your
of staged
future
it.
budgets looking like? Is it like every year you're gonna ask for $4 million or every 2 years?
No, I
you
think
ask for
$4 million will allow us to continue to build capacity at each of our districts. We've designated, the 4 million will allow us for 8 districts on Hawai'i Island to do east and west, because it's not realistic for us to move kids. It allows for, like I said, the pre-Ho'okea event, the actual big, it's a week long. We'll have a day for our Kaiapuni students and then 4 days of elementary, middle, and high activities. And then it allows for us to do a post-activity back in the classrooms. Each year, we're able to train additional teachers. So this year, we're up to, 1,300 teachers out of 13,000 teachers. So we hope to keep building more and more teachers each year that we have Ho'okea.
And who does the training?
We use all of our community partners, the department, our partners like what Polynesian Voices Society. So we have a large amount of Aina-based and Va'a-based organizations that
Is
help
there
us.
such a point where you'll have these people totally trained that they can then train in-house?
Yes, we actually, with FestPac, which happened last year, we were able to do training for our lead teachers to then take it back to some of their grade levels. So some of it could be train the trainer, but I think like Superintendent said, it's one of those things that you yourself have to experience.
Right.
I think like you said, to build that connection might be a little bit harder to hear it from someone else unless you're already committed and invested in the kind of work.
Yeah, I'm talking
Having
about
experience.
retraining or continued
Yeah.
training, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah.
Marcia. I didn't mean to take up so much time.
That's quite all
No,
right,
great
Madam Vice
questions.
Chair.
I just think it's so important.
Camille, so thank you for the discussion. The $4 million you're asking is for fiscal year 25, 26? And again,
Correct.
4 million for 26, 27.
Correct.
And by that point, how many students will have been trained?
We will.
How many, I mean, teachers, how many more years are we going to have to do this to make sure all of our
Yeah,
teachers?
I think we're thinking within the next 3 years, because this is like our first like full implementation. In 3 years, we'll be able to get to all of the districts to better assess like our capacity. We're also trying to get feedback from our schools. Like, does this make sense? Is this how you want to learn? Are your students seeing the benefits out of it? I think at that point, we'll have systems in place. And I think like Senator Kim said, like at that point, how much can the schools already absorb? Will it be within our regular school budget to afford the trips? I think there is still gonna have to be an investment by the department on making sure that the canoes and the Va'a type of activities, because like I said, it's expensive. It's expensive for our organizations to host it, but it makes a lot more sense for us to invest in community orgs. I know our counterparts in the private schools like Punahou, Kamehameha, they have built their own canoes. I have begged Keith, we do not have that capacity. It is extremely expensive, as Nainoa will share with you, for us to invest in that type of things, but our Ohana Va'a can carry that, but it still requires us to pay for our kids to have those kind of experiences. So some things, I think we have to rely on our partners. Other things we can build. I have 2 schools, Ka'a'awa and Waiahole, who have been doing work with Kanehuna Moku for many years now. And they have built capacity so that their entire staff, not just teachers, but their entire staff is trained. And so for them, they're at a very different level. It's already ingrained
That's
in
what I
their
hope
being,
will be.
which is what I think you're looking for. And then I have other schools, this is like the first time that they've even heard about voyaging. So, just kind of at a different level. It took Waiahole and Ka'a'awa several years though to get there. So I think for us with department support, in the next three years, we can come back and let you know where we're at. And we couldn't do this without, like I said, the strong partnerships. We need all 50 and more. Every year we're trying to attract more regional-based support so that each community can host their own.
Have you looked into decommissioned canoes that they can donate to the school?
I don't know, Senator, if we could afford the upkeep. the training the crew, maintaining and managing.
And getting the
It's-
canoe to the water.
It's easier that I leave
Well, I was
it with
thinking not so
them.
much it's in the water or whatever, but if, if you needed like to have a real canoe there, I mean, that can serve other things other than being able to get in the water and have a
Yeah.
whole crew. But I mean, we're looking at ways to increase the students' awareness and ability to touch,
Excitement.
feel, see, even though it's not maybe in the water.
Correct. We have like for our Nanakuli Wai'anae, they're working with Eala and trying to restore. We have others where, like I said, on Kauai, one of the people who submitted testimony, she's actually taking the va'a to each school.
I'm looking at
Kona,
more of
we have
the urban
others.
schools, like, the Waianae, the coast kids, the outer island, they have a more tendency to be by the water and see the canoes versus more of our inner schools who maybe don't have that, ability or don't have that.
Not in their backyard.
Yeah, and their
Yeah.
parents is not in their wheelhouse, so
Right.
to me, those are the ones that may benefit from stuff. But anyway, that's just an
Yeah.
idea, I'm sorry.
Great ideas. No, I love it.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on. Senate Bill 1390, Computer Science Report. So this changes the due date of DOE's annual Computer Science Legislative Report from June 30 to 20 days prior to the start of the legislative session, similar to other DOE reports. Superintendent Hayashi.
Aloha Chair Kidani, Vice Chair Kim, and members of the committee. I'm Terry Ushijima, Assistant Superintendent from the Office of Curriculum Instruction Design. The department stands on its written testimony, and we appreciate the opportunity to provide testimony. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, questions?
Yeah, Terry, don't go away. So Terry, I understand you need more time to be able to compile the data and that June 30th is just too close to the end of the school year, right?
Yes.
But going all the way to 20 days before the convening of the legislature, can't you do it like by August or September? Because, usually know how many reports we get by the 20 days? And we can barely get through them all, and you're gonna add one more, plus I'm sure you have to deliver so many other reports for 20 days before. So wouldn't you wanna at least spread it out? So could we do it more like in September or August?
I think probably, yes, we could do it before the end of the year.
Yeah.
Part of our thinking was to be consistent with the other reports that we have to
Too many,
submit.
Yeah, that's my question too.
Yeah,
my
so
comment
it would
too.
be helpful if we could do it like in September or October, because even, at the end of the year, it takes time to get the data, and it's not just like, okay, here's the data, we have to make sure the data is good data, right? And
I'm just thinking September, October with school starting, but maybe, end of summer, August, but hey, anytime before November.
if we could do it October, we can aim to submit it earlier, but I think that would give us more
Yeah, I
time
think that would be
to,
better than we have the time to
adequately-
review it, otherwise, yeah, we get so many. I don't know, we get at least several hundred, if not more?
okay. We would appreciate October then,
Okay.
if that works.
Can we change it? Okay, we can talk about a decision.
Yeah, we can probably change it, but my other question is, what exactly does the report entail or what is expected to?
So I think
included.
the intention of the report is over a 3-year period, we systematically put in a plan to offer computer science in all of our schools. So the first year they started with high schools. The high schools had to offer a course. And then the following year, it was, it gradually ramped up so that at least one middle school and one elementary school had to offer it. And we're at a point now where we're
In each
expecting.
district?
Yes, each complex area. And now we're at the point this year where we're expecting all schools to offer something. So the report helps us to track the implementation of this important content area in our schools.
Thank you. Members, questions? Thank you, Terry. Thank you. Next, Senate Bill 1388. It adds 2 voting members that represent the Department of Education to the Board of Education to the School Facilities Authority Board. Superintendent, testify.
Well, Chair Kidani, Vice Chair Mercado Kim, members of the committee, Keith Hayashi, Superintendent testifying on behalf of the Department of Education. The department stands on its written testimony in support of this measure. Although the School Facilities Authority is charged with the planning, development, and construction of school facilities, the daily school operations and implementation of public school curriculum remains the exclusive mission of the department and oversight from the board. So we do look forward to, should this pass, work together with the School Facilities Authority. Thank you.
Members, questions?
So when we put this together, did you folks say something to us that you thought was important, that we have two other members that, from the school district?
I'm sorry, Senator, just to clarify, put together the bill or the SFA?
When we put the SFA, we put 5 members, right? Then you want to add 2. So I'm just wondering, was this something that we overlooked, or you guys didn't think you should have anybody on there?
Well, I think as we move forward, it's important in working together with SFA. I think we've identified that having a superintendent and the board chair on the SFA helps to ensure that there is collaboration.
It makes sense. I'm just wondering if that wasn't something proposed in the beginning.
I'm sorry, Senator, I wasn't here when the SFA was
Okay, is anybody-
initially created.
Okay, I was just curious as to that. And then when you say that it's the superintendent's designee, or the chairperson designee, I assume that it's going to be the same one throughout whatever term you point them to, and that not every meeting is not going to be a different person.
No, for I can speak on my behalf, either it'll be me or the same designee
The
that's
same
attending the
designee,
meeting,
okay,
yes.
I think it's important that we put that in committee report, so there's some continuity. Okay.
Thank you.
So I'm not sure how well you collaborate, or the DOE collaborates with SFA now, but will this bill help with this collaboration?
Yes, Senator, Chair, the bill will, adding 2 members to the SFA board, myself and the board chair will help with the collaboration.
So is SFA now in communication with the DOE and the BOE?
We try our best to collaborate with each other. I think there has been some instances where maybe collaboration could be a little better, but I think that this will help
From
definitely.
your side or from SFA side? Don't mean to put you on the spot, but, you know, for this to work for the benefit of both agencies, as well as our students and our schools,
Yes,
there has to be collaboration. And
Yes.
if there is an issue, I think this committee, should know, so we can try and help fix whatever that is.
I can speak on behalf of the department. We have done our best to collaborate and work together with SFA and any other agency. I think it's important, especially in this particular situation with the School Facilities Authority. I think they're charged with a very important responsibility. And so working together with the department is, I think, of the utmost importance.
So I know one of the projects that SFA is working on is teacher housing. So we've had, as far as I know, one meeting out at Mililani High School. Are you guys aware when the meetings happened, or do they collaborate with you guys? I mean, I just want to know that it's not being, this is what we're going to do, and you guys have no input.
We've tried our best to work together with SFA with the Mililani High School project.
Thank you.
Yes.
Members?
Further question. So the governor appoints all 5 members now, right?
Yes.
Have you ever talked with the governor and recommend people to put on that you think might represent the interests of the school?
I have not yet reached out to the governor related to the SFA
Because
board.
he could appoint one of the 5 to be from the board or whatever, right? I mean, he could appoint whoever he wanted.
Yes, I think this would, this bill would ensure that there is
Right,
representation from the
right,
board.
but I'm just trying to see if you work within the framework of the law that's there. And then you're saying they're voting members. Why do they have to be voting members? Can't they just be ex officio members? Because I don't know if having conflicting interests and then a division of the board because of that. I'm just trying to anticipate what could happen.
I think that as voting members, it's important that all 7 members get together to work through any issues that might arise. And having everyone as voting members, I think, helps to facilitate that process, that everyone's views are
Yeah,
considered.
but I see that the board chair would have additional weight in the sense that they know he's the board chair, he already has a lot of powers that he can already influence. And similarly with you, I see it more in the board chair, but I'm wondering if that, skews the whole makeup of it.
I think, Senator, Vice Chair, that although we each of the 7 members have their respective positions on the board, each member still just has 1 vote that would be equal. So
Yeah, but
it
you
would-
have influence. I mean, come on, you know that some members or on the board would have more influence over others. And the fact that, 1/3, pretty much 1/3 of the board would be coming from the board and from schools. One of the things we're hoping that this will do is, like the chair said, have collaboration, that when they're going to be at the schools and so forth. So I'm just wondering if the necessity of them having a vote and just sitting on the board. So anyway, I'm just questioning that.
I personally, for me, I think it's important that 7 members be voting members. Thank you.
Superintendent, has the department been advised or had any collaboration and discussions as to what schools will have teacher housing?
To my knowledge, no, not from, you mean from SFA with the Department of
Correct.
Education?
Correct.
No, not to my knowledge, no.
Okay,
In a collaborative sense.
okay. So, I mean, to me, that's an issue because you guys have full authority on school grounds. So they can do all the plans they want without you, but it's not gonna happen if you don't agree. Is that correct?
I would hope so, Senator, that to be able to work together. I do believe that there is some within the SFA responsibilities themselves. I'm not sure if we're in agreement on that. But that might be something for School Facilities Authority to respond.
Thank you. Further questions, members? Okay. Thank you, Superintendent. Capson O, Executive Director, Board of Education.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and Senator. Capson Poi, Executive Director of the Board, standing on our written testimony supporting the bill. And we just want to say we do welcome all the opportunities for communication and collaboration. Mahalo.
Thank you. Members' questions? Thank you. Ricky Fujitani.
Good afternoon, Senators. Ricky Fujitani with the School Facilities Authority. We stand in our written testimony with comments.
Members' questions?
Yeah, so you heard the discussion. Do you foresee any kind of issues on voting versus ex officio, being ex officio members of the board?
I think typically it's been ex official in this bill. Yeah, it's voting, so it's a little different.
Right now, are they ex officio?
No, but right now, there is no.
Right, there
no
is none,
members,
right,
yeah,
but-
Right. This bill would,
Get them voting.
Right.
But I'm asking your opinion as to whether or not it should be ex officio or you think it should be voting.
it should be ex official.
Okay, thank you.
So Ricky, thanks for being here. So what is the current communication right now that we have to have a bill that, is forcing you guys to communicate? Is that communication just not naturally happening already?
So we actually have 4 standing meetings with the DOE. There's one monthly one overall on the direction of the SFA and how it impacts the DOE. That happens monthly.
That's an open meeting or that's,
It's with myself, chief of staff, the
Who's
deputy
chief of staff?
superintendent, Camille, also with Audrey Hidano on facility side, and with the deputy superintendent, used to be Randy Moore. First it was Kurt Odogoro, then it was Randy Moore, and now it's with Tito Chita. So that's a monthly meeting, and we go through all our programs that we're dealing with and how it impacts the Department of Education. That's the first standing meeting. The second standing meeting is with Mililani High School on all the issues, and all the Mililani High School issues have been constantly with the lead of Fred Murphy. So that's the second standing meeting. There's a third standing meeting that we're trying to schedule with workforce housing, and that hasn't been scheduled yet. We're waiting for a response, and then from the Department of Education on who their point person is. And then the fourth standing meeting is with Central Maui Schools, and that's again a regular meeting. That one has had many meetings because, as you know, the Central Maui Schools is in schematic conceptual planning stages. So there's been significant amounts of meetings on those first standing meetings. So those are the basic standing meetings. We document, we keep a log of every meeting. We keep a log of what the minutes are.
Is it available online?
No.
Could you put it online?
Yeah, actually, the Central Maui ones are online. The Mililani High School ones have been documented. There's a separate website for that too. For additional workforce housing, not yet. And the other one is an internal one with senior management.
so I guess the question becomes, I guess, even though you're having the meetings, are you actually listening to what the DOE says? Because I think if they feel like they need greater say over things, my sense is something's amiss here.
Well, if we look at each of those standing meetings, the first one is an overall strategy direction. The second meeting dealing with workforce housing, right?
So I guess I'll cut
Yeah.
to the chase. And I guess the question is my sense is, and it might be wrong, but I think my sense is that the DOE felt like at a certain point, the whole Mililani thing wasn't something that they consented to.
Right. They felt that maybe the RFP wasn't what they expected it to be. What you have to realize in the enabling legislation for workforce housing, Mililani High School was the #1 on the list with the most amount of money. I mean, that was in the
But
actual
that
bill.
doesn't mean you just go do what you want. You have to have some discussions with the
Oh, absolutely.
principal, et
So
cetera.
the meetings were with
I went to
Senator
only
Murphy.
one meeting that I am aware of.
Oh, no, there's been in total maybe 20 or 30 meetings. There were a whole bunch of pre-RFP meetings because of site selection on the impacts of these issues. An RFP process is a very, very long process. Yeah.
So could this be avoided if there was prior some type of MOUs before proceeding or some type of other documents? I'm just trying to find ways to how we bridge this gap, because I think there's needs, I think there's a role for you to play. It's just, I feel like the DOE feels like they need a larger say. And so, yes, this bill is one way to do it, but I feel like there's other ways that you can do it without a bill as well.
Right, on the preschools, there was 4 or 5 MOUs significant amounts of meetings. So that's really not the issue. I think the issue was with Mililani High School,
Okay, but there was no MOU with that.
with Mililani High School.
You're
No,
right.
No,
Okay.
yeah, it's,
So maybe we should move towards that model.
so what's happening since the initial RFP and subsequent RFPs that are needed in order to repurpose school lands for workforce housing, the governor's office has stepped in, has conducted monthly meetings between us in order to push that along. Because in the enabling legislation for workforce housing, it's really the governor's decision. He has that final say. So the governor has to be on board at the start, and that's the intent. So Will Kane has taken the lead on that. So he is scheduling, he's had a series of meetings and he's trying to push along the next
Who's
phase.
included in the meetings, Ricky?
It's governor's office, attorney general's office, the Department of Education, and the school facilities authority.
Yeah, for future, could you also send it to the Committee on Education?
Sure, yes.
I know that SFA has been in communication with the department, but can you explain why DOE found out about the mid-December meeting after SFA sent mailers out to the constituents? This is in the line.
Right, so Mililani High School was aware of it. They're aware of the request from Senator De La Cruz's office to do a greater mailer. And so they were informed, the school committee council was informed. It's just that that communication then from the school to DOE management didn't occur. But the school has always been involved every step of the way in the Mililani
I
High
don't
School
agree.
process.
You and SFA or their consultants stated that potential school campuses would be used for future teacher housing, and the department was not communicated after repeated letters requesting SFA to communicate with them.
I can
So
show you.
is it your intention to cause confusion, or I'm just trying to clear this up, because this is our communities. And you're tasked with doing teacher housing, however, it's on school property. And the
Absolutely.
principals still have control of their schools.
Absolutely. So we've done no other RFPs since Mililani RFP. Mililani High School, Fred Murphy was involved from the very start. No other RFPs or due diligence has been done in any other school. The amount of money that we have to do RFPs, we only have for this one. So until there's additional funding, there's no funds to do due diligence to progress to the next sites. We've identified a lot of sites, but none of this has
So
gone
in the
beyond
future, any
identification.
communication to the principals of schools, please also copy the superintendent and myself.
We will.
Was it your intention to cause confusion with school principals who were unaware that their campuses could be used for teacher housing? Because you said that at a meeting.
Our intention was not, there are lots of schools that could be monetized or could be repurposed for workforce housing. We have not done any due diligence or engagement in order to pursue next steps.
Other questions?
Yeah, I guess so. And your monthly standing meetings with the chief of staff, maybe Raj, Donald, everybody else in there. Do you talk about the upcoming meetings for Mililani? Do you talk about all those things?
Yes, we have three programs. We have three very distinct programs. The progress with preschools, the progress with the Mililani RFP and workforce housing, and the third, Central Maui. That's all we've been assigned.
Okay, so at these meetings,
Yes.
how involved and how interested DOE have participated and asked questions and stuff?
Yeah, they're typically at least an hour or longer, and they're very involved in all of the issues. We summarize it every month, and we go
Okay, so
through the
you
progress.
think that there's a lot of communication?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Okay, can I ask the Board of Education as to, you can stay there, as to what is your need that you see that you folks need a vote on this board? What's been lacking?
Well, Senator, I think part of it is, it just formalizes some of the communications that we've been talking about.
You have to have a vote to formalize communications?
I think we would appreciate the vote.
No, I know
mean,
you'd
yeah.
appreciate it, but I mean, you folks as a board already have that power over everything that comes under the scope of the board. So to get onto another board that has another vote, I mean, there's other ways to be able to get the communications than having a vote, because even with a vote, what does that do? You just formalize vote, and if it's 5-2, or what does that really do? Just getting a vote?
I mean, I think that's true what you point out. I mean, again, we think representation matters, having a vote matters. But I mean, if the legislature decides otherwise, that's fine. And I think all the things that have been discussed, I think everybody
Yeah,
would want to continue all of this engagement and communication.
And I'm trying to get to the bottom of what precipitated this, and if it's lack of communication, then I don't know if just getting a vote on the board will improve that communication, because if there's all these meetings going on, then, you know, and if you're not asking questions in these meetings, if you're not being engaged, then it's not gonna help if you have one representative on the board and one representative on the board that votes, how that information gonna get down? Now, if that's the case, then they don't need to keep anybody informed, because you too gonna be informed, and it's up to you guys now to get the word out, right? You follow
Yes.
me? So you have a lot more at stake now, because you are the representative, and it's up to you to get that information out. Which I don't know that you wanna take on that additional responsibility.
I mean, Senator, I just say that, I mean, with that kuleana, right? I mean, if you get a seat at the table, then you do have to accept all the things that come
But the Board of Education has
with
been
it.
known to not get information out. So, anyway, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So Ricky, there's a potential that the school campuses, other school campuses will be used for future teacher housing. So is it the SFA's intent to make sure that the principals and the community is aware and not start any project, any type of, any work without notification?
Yes,
So was it your intention to cause confusion with school principals who were unaware their campuses would be used for teacher housing?
no. The enabling legislation actually lists a whole bunch of campuses identified by the legislature where future teaching housing projects should have happened.
But you've made statements in
Yeah.
public meetings that you're going to do other projects, and no one's aware of what these projects are.
Yeah, we haven't started it. Every school, there's 256 sites that are all potential sites for workforce housing.
What about the middle school on Maui? Have you notified any of the principals or,
The middle school in Maui and Central Maui, there's no space. It's not an option. Yeah,
okay, so there's no plans right now?
absolutely. Those two schools are overcrowded, they're compacted. The need is to build additional capacity for schools in Central
Okay,
Maui.
so you are aware, SFA is aware, that the DOE has full authority on their campuses. So any plans, whatever, should be discussed with the DOE and the school principals as well as the superintendent.
Yes, absolutely. Act 307 gives title to the DOE. They own the land. The only way we can monetize or repurpose that, the governor has to approve the transfer of the land or the use of the land for the SFA to repurpose. So it all starts with the governor's office. Because if he doesn't agree, there's no progress.
I'm asking you before you go that step, that you discuss with the superintendent and the principal of the school before you take that step to the
Yes.
governor, so
Yes.
that you fully are aware of the needs of the school and the community.
That's one of the standing meetings that Will Kane is leading in order to go on the next steps for subsequent RFPs.
And that is done by letter or just phone calls or what?
Well, so far it's been a series of meetings with Will Kane. His recommendation is to have a standing meeting scheduled between the School Facilities Authority and the land use group at the DOE in order to triage and prioritize and identify all those sites.
So
Before we
Superintendent,
do
are you
any-
aware-
before we
excuse
do
me,
any-
Are you aware of these meetings? Sure.
Thank you, Senator. I have attended two meetings what Director is talking about.
Have you had
attended two.
representatives go to the other meetings?
We've had the one that he's speaking about, related to Mr. King, I've gone to two of those.
Yeah.
For
But
the
you're
other,
invited to all of them,
I have been invited to those
Yeah,
with
you only went
Mr.
to
King.
two.
I went to two of them.
and you
I believe it
didn't
was two.
send anybody else in.
If anybody attends that meeting, it would be our school facilities
Yeah,
authority.
but you can authorize somebody
I
who
can,
can't make
yes,
it,
I
but you
can.
haven't.
I have. Whoever, if there is a meeting with the governor's office, then if I can't make it,
Right, so you know about the
facilities, I
meetings.
do.
Yeah.
However, Senator, just to kind of clarify, when SFA has standing meetings with the department, what is discussed at those standing meetings is really important. Because although we have standing meetings, if it is not the point of discussion on what decisions are being made or what's being explored, and those discussions and standing meetings are limited, we have no knowledge of what else is going on.
But you
I
can
think-
ask, right?
Not if we don't know what is happening.
No, but you can ask at the meetings for more information or clarity or whatever, right?
If we
you
know
go
what
to-
the next steps are gonna be.
Well, if
we
you
can
go
ask.
to all the meetings, you have a better idea, right? I mean, you have that opportunity, you have a voice on the committees right now, or on this meeting, if you attend. If you don't attend, then you have no voice, right?
Correct.
Right, so if you attend, you can ask, is there anything else on the horizon? Is there anything else coming up that we need to know about? You have any plans, right? Can't you ask that at every single meeting?
We can.
Okay, so you have that opportunity.
Who holds the meetings?
Depending on which standing meeting, it's the standing meeting with Mr. Fujitani, with the chief of staff is online with our facilities folks.
With Will Kane, it's who,
That's in person.
in person, but who calls that meeting?
Well, the policy office.
The policy office.
Yes.
So in the case of the Mililani High School project, as Mr. Fujitani shared, that principal knew of the project. Complex area superintendent wasn't aware. Neither was my office aware.
Why not?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I believe that in talking with the principal, he thought that the communication was gonna go between SFA and our office.
So repeat, do you guys just go to the principals directly with no letter directed to the superintendent?
So to give you a real brief history, I started this in February. The RFP was posted months before, so all those meetings were before we started. As soon as we found that out, we did have a meeting with superintendent, chief of staff, with Bob Davis, with Fred Murphy, with Kurt Otoguro on the status of that RFP, because until then, we were not aware that subsequent communications from Fred to senior staff didn't happen. So after that, then we had a slew of meetings inviting all the key people on the status of the Mililani RFP, including with our key consultant, the Wilhelm Group that was running that whole job. So upon discovery that the previous executive director did not involve other than the school of all this information, we rectified it. We scheduled a bunch of meetings with all the key people. We even formed a steering committee task force specifically to do with Mililani, with key legislators, the attorney general, school community council, neighborhood boards on the status of that RFP.
So in all your communications, written communications with principals, do you provide copies to superintendent and the complex area superintendent?
The only one we've had is with Fred Murphy, and certain ones we copy. I mean, after that meeting, we copy everybody on everything. Yeah, but that's already in play. That RFP was in flight already, right? It was already been
When did
posted,
when did the RFP get posted?
December of 2023.
And did you guys know about the RFP?
No,
You didn't know about the
I did
RFP at
not.
all? You didn't know what's posted?
nope, I did not.
Who knew on the deal besides the principal?
I don't know.
But the principal did know.
Principal knew, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, and-
Fred was involved from the start on the sites, the location, the draft, yeah.
And it's a public document, right? Once
Yes,
you
it is.
post the-
It's posted on
you
HANS.
post it, so there's no
Yeah.
way you folks, somebody wasn't keeping track or knowing what's going on?
Should you not include the superintendent as a CC on anything to deal with schools?
I was at the DOE at that time.
Superintendent, were you the superintendent?
No, I was working
my
at the
question.
DOE at that time when the RFP was posted. That was in 2023.
What was your role?
I was in the Auxiliary Services Department,
And
which
did you know
does,
about the RFP?
no. At the DOE, my function was paying a
Right, so
lot of
those-
bills.
So who was
Yeah.
FSA or whatever?
At that time, it was the first executive director, Chad Furious.
Yeah.
So he's not there anymore.
Question for the executive director, BOE. So I guess, does the board get regular reports from School Facilities Authority as a standing item on your agenda?
No, we don't, but the.
Why
SFA,
don't you?
We are looking to schedule some meetings. with
Maybe
SFA.
they should be a standing agenda item, and then you don't need to, then they can come to you, you don't have to go to them, and then they can tell you everything that they're doing. Because I would assume that the Board of Ed members don't know what's going on, because the board chair can't tell the other members, nevertheless, if he was a member, without going into a publicly noticed meeting under the Sunshine Law
Yes,
anyway.
that's correct, Senator. But I could also say that we as staff could try and make them aware of things that are coming up. And to your earlier
But
suggestion.
you only can tell them that in an open meeting, that's noticed.
Yes.
So you should have an agenda item to at least inform your members of what's going on at SFA, right?
Thank you very much for the suggestion, Senator. No, in all seriousness, we do have SFA scheduled to come before the board.
No, I would recommend a
Yes,
standing
and
agenda
We
item.
can make things more
Okay.
regular.
All right.
Thank-
But I think at the end of the day, something is broken, so we just gotta fix it, and I don't think you need a bill to fix it, it's just somebody needs to be proactive to fix it, right? And I think you're the prime person to do that.
And then just to clarify, I don't want to, I do need to check with the board members and yes, the appropriate chair to actually schedule that. But
Well,
yes,
hopefully they
that
can
would
watch
be
this on YouTube
supportive,
and they can
yes.
see the
I don't want you
interaction,
to
so
think
thank
that,
you.
you know,
Thank you,
Capson's
Chair.
going wrong. Thank you.
Thank you. Further questions, further comments? Sure, Superintendent, please.
Thank you, Senator. I do also just want to point out that this bill is a governor's package bill, and it was drafted in collaboration with SFA. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, members. We are moving on to Senate Bill 527, which establishes and appropriates funds for the full-time equivalent of 5 full-time equivalent positions within the Civil Rights Compliance Branch of the Department of Education. To testify, Superintendent.
Good afternoon, Senator Kidani, Chair Kidani, Vice Chair Kim, Tammy Chun, Deputy Superintendent, testifying in support of this bill. This bill would increase the capacity of our Civil Rights Compliance Branch Office to respond to and conclude complaints and investigations more quickly. The recent changes with Title IX in the Trump administration changed the rules under which Title IX cases are reviewed, and so the additional capacity also assists with that. Thank you.
Thank you, members. Questions?
Question, how many do you have now?
There are currently 15 equity specialists.
You have 15 and you need 5 more, you need 1/3 more?
So the 15 are, most of them are assigned to a geography, to a particular complex area, so they handle the cases from the complex area. The 4 of the additional positions would float among all the complex areas to provide additional capacity where there are cases that need to be dealt with, and 1 position would be for gender equity regarding Title IX athletics.
How many cases do you get a year?
About 400 cases a year.
And each case, each of the 15 gets divided among them, or how does that work?
So because most of them are geographically based, it's not always even across all of the specialists, but on average, hang on, let's see. So I think it does depend on how many cases are coming up from any particular complex area.
So they each have about 25, 30 cases?
Yeah, on average. In addition, the Civil Rights Office also handles accommodations requests for ADA.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. To testify, Linda Ilento on Zoom. Linda, please proceed.
This is Lynn. I'm in support of SB 527, but I wanted to ask that the committee consider additions, but basically the is of students with disabilities also be included. I feel like that this particular bill kind of hides Section 504 as well as ADA as it applies to students. Also, the Hawaii Revised Statutes 368-1.5 also includes the civil rights of children or students with disabilities. I can provide some written testimony with more details, but again, I wanted to support or ask that the funding be also considered for specifically for students with a disability who may or may not need special education, so that they can have access to an accommodation, modification, aid service, opportunity, or benefit that the Department of Education offers. Thank you for this opportunity, and I would welcome or be able to answer any questions.
Thank you, Linda. I look forward for your written comments.
Okay.
Members, questions? There are 4 testifiers in support, but I do not believe they're online. They're all written testimony.
One in opposition.
Pardon?
One in opposition.
Yes. One person was in opposition for testimony. Any questions? Thank you. Superintendent, did you want to comment on this? Thank you. Moving on to item Senate Bill 868 relating to the school bus driver certification subsidy pilot program, which establishes a 1-year school bus driver certification subsidy pilot program within the DOE for fiscal year 25-26, requires reports to the legislature and appropriates funds. Is there anybody to testify on this bill? Superintendent?
Good afternoon, Chair Kidani, Vice Chair Kim, members of the committee. Dean Uchida, Deputy Superintendent, testifying on behalf of the Department of Education. The department stands on its written testimony which provides comments on this measure. The Department of Transportation is the primary agency responsible for licensing and ensuring compliance of school bus drivers in Hawaii. The Department of Education does not own or manage school bus fleets and lacks the resources to certify staff needed to implement a comprehensive bus driver certification program. We thank you for the opportunity to testify on this measure.
Anyone else here wishing to testify on this measure? Members, questions?
Yes, questions. I appreciate your testimony. I had some questions regarding whether or not DOE can certify. If you have the personnel
No, we don't.
to certify. And then who would the bus drivers work for?
Right, we don't have a fleet, so they're all contracted out.
Right. So-
Leeward Community College is helping with trying to get bus drivers certified. They have an extended program, but yeah, we're not involved with the
So it'd be
drivers.
better if we gave this money or funding or whatever to community
DOT or
college or
community
DOT.
college, yeah.
And not you, yeah, I was wondering if we keep on certifying.
We have enough
bus drivers.
challenges already. Okay?
Right. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So Dean?
Yeah.
how many, well, what's the shortage, I mean, in percentage of school bus drivers?
It fluctuates because we're dealing with two different vendors, contractors, and we don't know what it's gonna be. We cannot project what the shortage might be. That's what's really, the tragedy of this whole thing is that we cannot prepare for it because we don't know until school starts if the drivers show up or not. Some of them, they just don't come back after summer or the Christmas break. And so that first day of school is always really traumatic for our bus guys because they gotta figure out, do we have enough to cover or gotta move stuff around. That's the unpredictability, and that's what causes all the problems right now.
So what would be the cost of this program? I mean, how many people are you expecting to get certified?
Well, there's a shortage nationwide of, school bus drivers. And then I think you see the advertisements on TV with West Oahu aggregate recruiting bus drivers. Everybody's trying to look for that CBL designation. It's just, we don't have people that are interested in driving a school bus right now. That's kind of the problem.
So is there a projected cost in
I don't know.
trying to do this program?
They cannot, they don't have
Yeah.
they don't have the.
We don't even know if we're gonna have enough drivers, so I don't know how much the training would be, right?
Okay. So is DOE trying to do this program themselves, or they're gonna ask us?
No, this is a bill from a senator, so it's not from.
Yeah, it's not our
Yeah, they're
bill.
not wanting it.
But we have reached out to the city and county ETS to try and see what we can do to, overlapping the city bus routes with our bus route and maybe free up some more drivers. But they're still in discussion right now. We haven't had any commitment from anybody.
So, but you don't have any idea what the cost would be then?
No, not at this moment.
Okay, further questions?
Thanks, Dean, for being here.
Yeah.
I guess what begs the question is the intent of why this senator introduced this bill is that there's just a frustration with this bus driver thing, right? And I think I see the deputy there who I had some words for at the beginning of this school year about why this is happening again. And I granted you're new, so maybe there's a fresh set of eyes, but I think it's just, we know that this is happening over and over again. And I think legislators are just kind of frustrated at this point that something needs to be done to fix it, right? I think we cannot go into another year and say, oh, we're just going to do the same thing and expect different results, because I feel like that's what we are kind of doing. So I think you just need to give us assurance that there is a plan for this coming school year. And even on Maui, we haven't filled all of our school bus routes. They're not all back. Right. And that's unacceptable in my mind, that we're at this point where we can't even fill them. And so at some point there needs to be some operational differences, whether we're, doing, I don't know, stagger school start time so the bus can do multiple routes or something, right? But for a lack of just saying, oh, we're just going to do the same thing again and hope for a different result, I think that's, at least this bill offers a solution, even though you can't implement it, but you get the gist of where it's coming from.
I understand. Yeah. I mean, I think everybody's trying to help get more bus drivers. Unfortunately, we don't have a large demand, a large pool to work from, a workforce to work from. Trying to train them, going through Leeward's program, that's one option. And we try to grow our own through that program. But, we cannot predict how many people are going to show up and want to take the class and get the CBL license. That's the problem.
I get that. So with the challenges that we have, is the DOE looking at any other thing? Like I said, is staggered school start times or something else?
But reaching out to the city.
Randy was brought before he left. It was very interesting. He was like, "Well, we're gonna let them work on the bus, and then they're gonna come work for us, and then they're gonna then drive the bus again." Interesting. At least he's thinking outside the box, but I think that's what it takes, right?
Yeah, we're trying all those things, and not much success. The thing with the city is if we can get some of the routes overlapping, we'll free up drivers, and we'll have more drivers that we can spread around to other places that need routes. So that's kind of the
Yeah, but that's not going to work on the neighbor islands.
Well, they can they can take the drivers and fly them to the neighborhood. Some of the companies are doing that now because of the shortage. So it's happening right now with drivers flying to neighbor islands to cover different routes.
Okay, well, I hope we don't have the same debacle this next school year.
You and me both, man. You and me both.
Well, I think it's the whole economy and not just bus drivers, but we've got rubbish pickers and all kinds of areas. So maybe we need the policy as to how do we do this? Because as we give more and more services, it becomes an entitlement, and then it's hard to take it away. So if you go to staggered school hours, the parents are gonna complain about that. So there's really, no real, I don't know, solution at this point, unless people take their kids to start taking their own kids to school. Or, I used to walk half a mile to school. But, yeah, covered right and barefooted in the snow. Thank you.
So, I mean, I don't think there's an answer to this issue, but are we encouraging more students to go online, or how are we trying to deal with this problem?
City bus.
Yeah,
Bus
the city,
passes, right?
yeah, that's one option we're trying to look at, the city bus pass, bro.
Is that the only option though? I mean,
We're looking at the thing that Randy had talked about, getting drivers, but we're getting a hard time getting anybody interested in even doing that, so.
yeah, but knowing that, because it's not just school bus drivers.
Right,
Everybody, all the bus drivers, companies are having issues. So how are we trying to solve the problem? Are we trying to do more online classes, or?
No, we're trying to address the transportation issue as best we can, and we're trying all different things right now, the licensing, different programs.
But in the meantime, how many students are missing classes and missing schoolwork, school time?
Because of the lack of the bus routes being covered.
Correct, not being able to get to school, no matter
Right.
what.
I don't have that exact information, but I'll get it for you.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see the
But,
data.
yeah, that would be something to look
Okay.
at, to see if we can provide maybe more online. I know it's not the ideal, but we still have to, we have an obligation to our students to make sure that they're getting their education.
Right, I agree.
So I'd be interested to know what other things you guys have looked at.
Okay, we'll get back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
1393.
one more, yeah. Use of public lands. Senate Bill 1393, it requires SFA to consult with DOE or other impacted department agencies before any transfer or lease of land or property owned or occupied by the DOE, ensures that SFA land use decisions align with the DOE's operational and strategic goals. Takes effect upon its approval. Superintendent Hayashi, why is this bill needed?
Well, Chair Kidani, Vice Chair Mercado, members of the committee. Again, Keith Hayashi is testifying on behalf of the department. We do stand on our written testimony in support of this measure and requesting, though, an amendment in working together with SFA to delete on page 3, lines 10 and 11, quote, upon terms and conditions as may be agreed to by the parties for the purpose of this chapter, end quote. Removing this language will create more flexibility for the parties to effectuate the bill. And again, this is a governor's package bill, and we have collaborated with the School Facilities Authority in this bill.
Can you explain why you need that deleted? Because I would think you'd want them to agree to, right? No?
Yes, it's under HRS, let's see, 302A 1703. The School Facilities Authority is charged with the responsibility for the development, planning, and construction related to all public schools that are assigned by the legislature, governor, or the State Board of Education. So us working to consult with the department would help to, again, build in stronger
Right,
communication.
but I'm talking about this line that you want deleted.
Yes,
Amendment, you want this line taken out.
in collaboration with the School Facilities
What
Authority,
page and line?
At page 3, lines 9, 10, and 11?
10 and 11.
10 and 11.
Yes,
It says, upon terms and conditions as may be agreed to by the parties for the purpose of this chapter. So you don't want the parties to agree?
we did want the parties to agree,
So why
but
would you
in,
take
in,
this out then?
in collaboration with, together with SFA, I think we agreed that we would remove that language.
SFA, can you come forward? I'm just confused. I don't know. Am I reading it wrong? Stay there. You don't want to have the agreement? I don't know, what is this?
No, the statute is poorly drafted. It just has to be clarified. What the DOE is correct in their position is that the way it's drafted, when the governor authorizes transfer from any other state agency, they have to agree to the terms and conditions. But for some reason, the last sentence repeats in the department's case, they don't need to, so it's really inconsistent. So all the intent is to try to make it consistent with state agency lands and DOE lands, but
Okay.
it has
so-
to be redrafted.
But it has to be agreed to.
Yes, absolutely,
Okay,
on the terms and
okay. I just
conditions.
was thinking you're taking that out.
Yeah, no, no,
I
no.
don't know why the DOE would agree to it.
The DOE is right,
Okay.
the statute is confusing and inconsistent.
Okay, got it.
It creates a different hoop for the DOE when it should be the same for all the
Got
state
it.
lands.
Okay.
So to be clear, on page 3, line 10, you want to take out the upon terms and conditions as may be agreed to by the parties for the purpose of this chapter. Is that correct?
That's the drafters of that one. To me, just go back to the statute and
Right.
just say state agencies and the authority is much simpler than
Okay.
convoluted.
Okay, I was just.
Yep.
Thank you.
A question, Chair. SFA, if you
Sure.
don't mind. Hasn't the SFA been put in position to make these kinds of decisions on behalf of DOE or BOE? Because my point being is, I'm afraid of getting somebody else in the process, delaying the process of these transfers. So is there something that I'm missing as far as SFA being able to vet the paperwork, make the decision, and not prolonging the process?
So SFA has no title to any land. So the first step is we have to approach the governor to get approval to transfer the property or lands that we want to use to repurpose. Once we get that approval, then it's on the SFA's part to take it out of land court, go to the regular system, get the title, subdivide, and then repurpose back, right? So our only project so far is Mililani. We're not at that phase yet. 'Cause until we get agreement from the school, from legislative funding, there's no point to put that for the governor for his approval to transfer the land and then subdivide it.
Oh, so this is a situation that you've never been in before, as far as being able to make that
We have-
decision?
Yeah, we can't. It
Got
starts
it.
with the governor.
Got it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any further questions? Superintendent, sure.
Just to clarify, Senator, the Chair, just to be sure that, so Director Fujitani has mentioned that the SFA would check with and get permission from the school before going to the governor for request.
Right.
So it's the DOE would be in the very beginning in the decision-making, being that it's our school campus. Thank you very
So
much.
it's with approval of the DOE and not just the school.
Approval of the DOE, yes.
Correct, okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for the clarification.
No further questions? Okay, let's go into decision making. Calling the Committee on Education back to order. We are in discussion and ready to decision make on the recommendations for the Senate bills. So on Senate Bill 529 relating to education, this appropriates funds to the Department of Education for its Ho'okea program. Recommendation of the chair is to blank out appropriation amount and note in the committee report that 4 million is requested by the Department of Education. Recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye.
Madam Chair, I have a discussion. I'd like to request that we put into the committee report the discussion regarding integrating the whole care program into the, embedded into the curriculum of DOE. As we discussed.
Thank you. And also, we're supposed to defect the date.
Okay. Perfect, the date.
Thank you for that reminder.
Okay, with those recommendation, members, is to pass SB 529 with amendments. The chair votes aye, the vice chair votes aye. Senator Hashimoto.
Aye.
Senator Kanuha.
Aye.
Senator Decord. Aye. Okay, 5 members present, all voting aye. Recommendations adopted.
Thank you. On Senate Bill 1390 relating to computer science legislative report changes the date of the Department of Education's computer science legislative report from June 30th to 20 days prior to the start of the legislative regular session. Recommendation of the chair is to pass with amendments, noting technical and non-substantive amendments. Changing the deadline for DOE's annual report from 20 days prior to the start of the legislative session to by each October 31st thereafter. Members, questions?
Okay, can I clarify? So are we changing it as of October 31st from now, this year, and then onward, right?
Are you able to meet that deadline?
Yeah, I think she said October.
Yes.
Yeah, or earlier, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Questions, members? Thank you.
Okay, recommendation is to amend SB 1390. Any member voting no, any member voting with reservations, hearing none, all 5 members in the affirmative, recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. For Senate Bill 1388 relating to education, which adds 2 voting members that represent the Department of Education on the Board of Education to the School Facilities Authority Board. Recommendation of the chair is to pass with amendments and defecting the date to July 1, 2050.
Madam Chair, clarifying the amendment would be to have the board members be ex officio. 2
Correct.
board members ex
Yes.
officio. Okay,
Questions, members?
if not, the recommendation is to pass SB 1388 with amendments. Any member voting no, any members voting with reservations, hearing none, all 5 members vote aye. Recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. Senate Bill 527 relating to education establishes and appropriates funds for the 5 full-time equivalent positions within the Civil Rights Compliance Branch of the Department of Education. Recommendation of the chair is to pass with amendments, but changing the appropriation amounts in sections 3 and 4 to unspecified appropriation amounts, noting in the committee report that $779,520 is appropriated for the 5 full-time equivalent equity specialists, and $20,000 is appropriated for material and supplies. Also for some technical and non-substantive amendments and defecting the date to July 1st, 2050. Members' questions?
Hearing none, Senate recommendation is to amend Senate Bill 527 with amendments. Any member voting no? No for me. No for Senator Decord. Okay, any members voting with reservations? Hearing none, 4 members voting aye, 1 no. Your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. Senate Bill 868 relating to the School Bus Driver Certification Subsidy Pilot Program, which establishes a 1-year school bus driver certification subsidy pilot program within the DOE for the 2025-2026 school year. Requires reports to the legislature, appropriates funds. I think we're deferring this one, members. Questions? Thank you. Senate Bill 1393 relating to the use of public lands requires a school facilities authority to consult with the Department of Education and other impacted departments or agencies prior to the conveyance of ownership rights or lease of lands to the school facilities authority. Recommendation of the chair is to include the testimony of the DOE and SFA, to delete page 3, lines 10 and 11, which reads, upon terms and conditions as may be agreed to by the parties for the purposes of this chapter. Members, questions?
Hearing none, recommendation to pass SB 1393 with amendments. Anyone voting no, anyone voting with reservations? Hearing none, 5 members voting aye, recommendations adopted.
Members, that concludes our meeting. Meeting's adjourned.